All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today I want to talk about a topic that pretty much 99.99999%, if not 100% of the XDefiant community can agree on. And it's something that has not changed yet, but I am also in the deep down belief that if we make our voices heard loud enough, especially with the kind of devs that we have, it is possible for this change to occur. So what in the world am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about releasing all the seasonal maps at one time as opposed to drip feeding us for one every single month. And this is something that everybody, regardless of whether you're a content creator, whether you're a streamer, whether you're both, or whether you're just a player or a casual player or whatnot, this is something that I think needs to happen. And speaking of casual players, the ones that don't follow XDefiant, which are the casual of the casual, right? Those players right there, when they see in a new season that only one new map has released, even they are going to think that that's it. They don't know that another map is going to come out next month and then another map the following after that and so on and so forth. A lot of them are just simply not aware. And it's basically a big question mark to them as to when the next map is going to come out. And maps are a big deal in the game, as you guys know. In every single first-person shooter, it is a big part of content, and it is also a big form of a way to play, because what you play on are a big staple when it comes to first-person shooters. It is a lot of people would say that it is one of the three tripods, so to speak, right? You got your gunplay, you got your maps, and then you've got, I don't know, in the case of XDefiant, let's say factions, right? So you've got, the factions that are a pillar, that are an important pillar. You got the maps that are the other important pillar. And then you've got your factions. And let's put another pillar in there and just say netcode hit detection. As a matter of fact, that one right there is probably the most important of the bunch, which hopefully by the end of this season, if not sooner, it will be resolved, or should I say, it would be a game changer to the point to where the vast majority, if not everybody of the players, fingers crossed, will be feeling the difference in better ways, regardless of platform and all that kind of stuff, which also I think why it's taken so long. I think it's taken so long because there's so many different things that they have to cover. It's very specific. It's got to be very precise. You can't make any mistakes, blah, 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 or else there's going to be a ripple effect, and you definitely don't want that. But anyway, back on subject here. And this is not only the only part of the maps that I want to discuss, because there's something else in terms of maps that I could discuss that will actually amplify the game in so many ways. Now, my assumption as of right now, and you guys can feel free to correct me on this in the comment section, from everything that I'm seeing right now, the vast majority of players who play XDefiant are often playing arena game modes. They're not playing the linear game modes. They're probably playing arena game modes. So therefore, they are spending the majority of their time playing on maps that are arena maps, right? Which are the majority of the maps. And then, of course, you've got your linear maps that are obviously quite larger. However, despite the fact that they are larger, I've seen the maps being played on many times, and not only do I like the way they look, but I also like the way they play. And they're also competitive maps as well. These maps can be played in ranked, in competitive game modes, depending on whatever mode is being played, obviously, because there's obviously certain modes that you can't play in ranked because they're not as competitive. So with that being said, from what I've seen from these linear maps, not only do they look great with a good amount of variety and vibrance to them, but they also play great. So my suggestion is, since the vast majority of us are obviously playing in linear game modes, and as well as this being something that at least sounds simple to me, at least, I know actually doing it is harder than just discussing it, but even from a development standpoint, this would be something that is fairly simple. My suggestion is that without necessarily making a new map from scratch, which is something that obviously takes more time and is more complex and just time consuming, well, you've already got all of these handful of linear maps that are obviously large. Well, what if you were to actually shrink them and cut out certain parts that wouldn't flow very well, and just put the couple of the pieces of the maps together, make them, I'd say, 1/3 or 1/4 of their size of what they normally are, and release them in arena-based maps or game modes, so to speak. Because I remember, I do know that they did this with Call of Duty in Black Ops Cold War. And some of the maps that they shrank ended up playing much better. Like, seriously, like that much better. It was like night and day, literally, because some of the maps were just too big. So what they did was they made smaller versions of those maps, and people actually ended up quite liking it. I know I did. I know for me, it was a lot more fun playing on those maps as opposed to just being like, oh crap, here we go again, you know. So it made things flow a lot better, and plus the maps themselves were solid maps. Actually, Cold War actually had some pretty solid maps. Obviously, a lot of the maps that they brought back were from older Call of Duties from the Treyarch franchise, but the maps that did end up shrinking were actually pretty damn solid, especially that one. The one snow map, and I don't remember what it's called at this point, but you guys probably know which one I'm talking about. So that one right there, the one that they shrank on, that one is absolutely terrific. And that one was made for, what was it? Was it made for Ground War, for like a kind of an extraction mode or something like that? I don't remember. Fire Team Dirty Bomb or something like that. But anyway, but when it was released for regular multiplayer after they shrank it, it played great, and it also gave players new content to play. And I am simply thinking, well, why can't XDefiant do this, especially with the kind of maps that we have here on XDefiant, which are actually really good maps. And those maps, like I said, they're not bad maps. You know, they're just large. Well, what if we just shrink them and cut them down to size? Keep the parts of the maps that wouldn't play, keep the parts of the maps that don't play well out of there, and basically just put together the maps, the parts of the maps that do flow and play well together, and keep obviously the setting and the aesthetics the same, so you don't really have to create anything. It's just basically cutting, I'd say at least half, if not more, of the maps down to size, and moving a couple things around, and that's it. I don't see why the devs can't do this, and I don't see it as being something that's too time consuming, especially since the maps have already been created, as well as the fact that we already know that all the maps for year one have already been finished, right? They've already been finished. We knew that. The maps, as a matter of fact, I believe were damn near close, if not at finished, before the game even launched. So we know that the devs are not only capable of doing this, but it'll be, at least in theory, less time consuming. At least that makes sense to me. But with that being said, guys, I really want to know in the comment section below, do you think that this is a good idea? Would you like to see smaller versions of these linear maps brought over into arena game modes? I know I would, because like I said, I've seen them being played and I love the way they look as well. And plus, XDefiant can really use some more night maps, and one of the night maps, which I think is called Downtown, could be brought into arena in a smaller version of itself, and you can enjoy the game modes that are being brought in that, because I really like what some of those maps, in terms of the kind of engagements that you can have with some of those maps, and I would love to see something like this implemented. And but I want to know, are you guys backing me up on this, or do you guys disagree? Let me know down in the comments section in terms of what you think, and of course, what do you think of them just releasing all the maps seasonal wise, the 2 arena maps and the 1 linear map at the beginning of every season, as opposed to waiting for the end of the 4-week period in order to give us another one. I know they give us updates every single month that kind of patch the game up, quality of life fixes, maybe a few additional features here and there, but for the most part, I think it would make sense just to release the maps right from the get-go, especially since a lot of the casual players are just not informed like a lot of us are, which are, we are the hardcore players, we're the minority, so to speak. So please let your feedback be known down in the comment section below. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.